Kaivalya
Let's begin with 3 ohms. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Welcome to KYG, Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam, Kaivalya Marga class, first of its class. I always say this every time, I never get tired of saying this. It's a great honor and a privilege to be able to be able to share this online. So right now I'm kind of occupied with a little bit of this technical stuff, but nevertheless I think we'll get over it. Maya's on her work, so I am going to be handling this. Not much to change here, I guess. So anyway, let's see how the divine guides us. This is the first of the many classes that I hope to share in the course of this journey in this lifetime. I'm almost 60. I'll be entering my 60th year, the end of this year. And so it's high time, I think, I share whatever little I know, leave a little bit of legacy behind for others. If it's of some help to even one individual, I will consider that my life has been sanctified. Our lives, actually. Maya is very much part of this, even though she's not here in this session. Because one thing we learned from our beloved Sadguru, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, to whom I make all of this as an offering, is do something valuable with your life. And so it is with that attitude and with that reverence and humility that I am here sharing these thoughts with you all, concepts with you all, concepts in yoga, concepts of Vedanta. As I have understood it, I do not claim to be scholarly in any fashion, in any manner. I have learnt a lot from scholars from India, from the US, from elsewhere, from Europe, from America. Scholars who have opened so many dimensions of my thought. So I bow to all of them. All of them are my teachers. There are so many innumerable people from whom I learned. Innumerable books that I have read. In particular, books from the Sri Ramakrishna Math, from the Sri Chinmaya Mission, and of course our beloved Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, Sathya Sai Speaks, and the Vahinis that you have written. All of these form my core texts from which I learned, understood Vedanta, and continue to understand, continue to learn. And so whatever I'm sharing in these classes as we go along will be bits that I've gathered from them and how I have understood them, how they have revealed themselves to me as I have practiced. So it's a mix of my learning and practice, and all of that put together, whatever comes out is from the very depths of my heart. I do not claim to be a preacher. I'm not going to teach you this is how you should do and that's how you should do. If I do sound in some videos or some classes, please forgive me. Because that's not the intention. The intention is to share and say, why don't you think on these lines? For you to consider, something for you to consider. So it is with that attitude that I'm beginning this class. May the divine guide you and me in this path to Kaivalya. Kaivalya Marga, Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam, Kaivalya Yoga, all of this I have learned, I practice, and I share only with one goal in mind, and that is self-realization. Everything else falls into place once that divine goal is set. When the path leads us to the understanding of our higher self. To me, that is what is missing in our lives today, in general. We have taken spirituality and kept it as a matter of convenience. We have taken spirituality, divided it into institutions, into dogma, doctrines. We have taken yoga and have taken the incomplete part of it, reduced it to exercises and so on. But there is a chance, there's always an opportunity for us to revisit these concepts that have withstood the tests of time. It always gives us an opportunity to open up and say there is more to it. There is more to yoga than just mere exercises. There is more to meditation, just techniques of breathing and mantras and chanting. There's a lot more to life itself than simply eating, seeking out a livelihood, having a family, and then going to bed every night. There is a lot more for which we are born, I believe. And there is this opportunity that we can exploit, where we use the tools of our body, our breath, our mind, our spirit to explore who we really are, the very essence of the self. That is what Kaivalya Marga is all about. These classes are all about. So yes, you will learn about pranayama. We will talk about meditation and sometimes have practical classes, or I'll take it from here and teach some, link it with some yoga classes and so on. We'll see how it goes. I have a structure guided by the divine, a broad structure, but I am consciously trying to move away from being too structured, because I think education has lost the spirit of learning, because everything is too structured. Everything needs to be in bullet points. Everything needs to be in courses and subjects and exams and all of that. We've kind of missed the poetry of learning, missed the joy of learning, missed the freedom of learning, of teaching. And especially in the spiritual path, there is only to some extent, I believe, that I can prepare. And then when I sit here and I chant the 3 Oms, I allow the divine to take over and guide. And so in the course of that sharing, I begin to learn as well. And so do you. We learn together. So it becomes another satsang. In today's class, we will talk about the Om, because everything in Kaivalya Marga revolves around the Om. Om, not necessarily in any religious sense. Om is simply a sound. But this was a sound, a vibrational pattern, where it is believed, and I believe, a vibration, a cosmic vibration from which creation itself happened. And if we want to seek the secrets of our higher self, the one meditation that we begin and we continue and end with, and the entire learning of all theories, all practices, everything is within this concept of Om. When I first thought of Kaivalya Marga, I called it Kaivalya meditation. Have you? When I first talked of Kaivalya Marga, we spoke about Kaivalya meditation. Kaivalya Marga. What is Kaivalya and what is Marga? Marga means a path. It's a way, a means. To what? To Kaivalya. Means to Kaivalya, the path to Kaivalya. Kaivalya is simply understood as oneness. Simply put, but very difficult to comprehend, this oneness. Kaivalya comes from this one word called Kevala. Kevala means aloneness. Not loneliness, aloneness. Why would somebody want to be alone, you might ask? This idea of being alone in today's day and age in our society, where there's so much of social networking and all of this, and everybody thrives in being in touch with each other all the time, every second now, especially with gadgets like the phone. What is this aloneness we are talking about? It is not shying away from people. It is not shying away from social networking. It's not shying away from the world. It is actually more inclusive. It is including everyone as part of your consciousness. So not only experiencing an integrated oneness with everything and everyone around you, but taking one step further and saying they are all expressions of the one consciousness, and so am I. And in that one consciousness, we find the aloneness. There is only one that exists, alone. Ekoham, I am one. Bahushyam, I become the many. Our journey is to find out who or what this I is. And so Om is a beautiful vibration which takes and helps our mind to cease itself from thinking and opens our mind to experience. That is why, as a preliminary step to any spiritual practice, be it yoga, be it meditation, be it a chant, be it a puja, be it a satsang, be it anything, we always begin with Om. In the Om is like a lullaby that the mother sings to a baby, right? The baby is crying, nobody knows what this baby is thinking. She puts the baby on her shoulder, the mother. The baby can't speak, so nobody knows what she's thinking, right? But all she does is hums a sound. Does the sound have meaning? No. But the mere humming of the sound calms the baby's thoughts. And the baby enjoys the experience of listening to this sound and goes to sleep. It is the same concept, but we are not going to sleep, hopefully, but we become awakened into another dimension. So yes, in a sense, we go to sleep in this dimension, but we awake, we awaken, if you will, if that's the right way to say it. We awaken in another dimension. So that is the essence of Om. And therefore I thought, what better way to begin the Kaivalya Marga series other than the Om? I think it was January this year or late last year that we had actually thought of beginning this. We called it Kaivalya Meditation to begin with. And I had published a couple of videos. I've removed it from YouTube, so you won't find them now. Not that there was anything wrong with it, but I did that and I was all excited about starting it. But something in my heart said, this is so very important that you need to go and visit these temples from where these teachings originally began, thousands and thousands of years ago. So when I say a temple is 1,000 years old, and you'll see me saying this in many videos, the temple is probably built, the temple as you see it today is probably 1,500, 2,000 years old or 3,000 years old. But the portal around which this temple kept getting built from a small little sanctum sanctorum to a courtyard to the kings, every king who came started building on it. So when I say a temple, I'm talking of the energy that was found in that place. Thousands and thousands of years old. So they called to me, honestly, they called to me. And I said, I have to go. Before I share, I need this divine grace. I need the blessings of my beloved Shiva. And so I went to India in January, went to each of these temples with my little Osmo pocket camera. And I started recording lessons as it came to me in these temples. I'd gone there originally with Kaivalya meditation in mind, and as I walked into Dakshinamurti temple to begin with, and you'll see a bit of that today in the class, as I walked in and I the general practices is you go to the sanctum sanctorum, you offer a tray of flowers, and the priest does a puja for you. You're not allowed to touch the idol or go near it. So the first temple I visited was the Dakshinamurti temple, about 20 kilometers from Kanchipuram, South India. And you'll get a glimpse of the temple in the video that will follow soon, where I've talked about the AUM. When I walked into that temple, my mind was blank. I walked in thinking, I'm going to start the class from here, because this was the place, that was a temple where the divine cosmic consciousness assumed this form to teach, assumed the form of the cosmic guru, Dakshinamurti. We'll learn about him more as we go along in this path. This entire Gurukulam is based on the Dakshinamurti principle of learning directly from the infinite source. And all the books that you read, people that you're guided to listen to, and all of these is that infinite source talking to you, giving you ideas of what to take, what not to take, expanding the horizons of your thinking potential, increasing the ability of your experience, challenging you to break through the conditioned mindset, creating opportunities to think outside the box. That is the beauty of this divine energy principle that actually teaches in silence, but yet we listen. So I was at this beautiful temple dedicated to Sri Dakshinamurti. It is Shiva's form. Shiva is a formless entity, right? So it is the formless entity given a symbolism in a form. It's an irony, but that's how it is. It's a symbol. There's no he or she in Dakshinamurti. It's just an idol that symbolizes the formless aspect and all the 5 elements and everything. So like I said, we'll learn it some other time. But when I was there and I offered my prostration, these 2 words just fell into my mind, into my heart. Kaivalya Marga. Not meditation, Marga. Meditation becomes part of that Marga. And so I was blessed to receive that. And that's how that name came. And I hope to keep it that way. The path to oneness. Kaivalya Marga. So before I begin, I want to take you all to this wonderful temple, Dakshinamurti temple. I sat there and I recorded this video. So I did try it with this particular microphone. But if most of you are from India, I guess, so you will know that no temple is ever completely silent. There were very few people on that day. Nevertheless, there is still, as I watched this video this morning to edit it a little and put it into this session, I noticed how much disturbance, if you will, quote unquote, is there. But I think that's part of the energy. I want you to see that these kind of teachings that would have happened thousands of years ago in these surroundings would have been just like that. It just, that's how it is, just real, and the serenity is more from within. So bear with the disturbance and the sound that you might hear in this 10-minute initial video, and I'll come back to it. We'll revise what we learned or review what we learned, and then if time permits, we'll go to the next video where I talk about the AUM. I hope to do both of that today. And then in tomorrow's class, we'll review exactly again this concept of AUM. The pace of these classes are going to be very slow. Until I feel satisfied that I've done justice to this subject, I am not going to let it go. So you might lose interest. I hope I don't. But this is the whole point. The point that in the first video that I talk about is, I beg of you to have patience and perseverance. It's so very, very important. So let's go to the Sri Dakshinamurti temple. You may not see the sanctum sanctorum or the idol of this temple because you're not permitted to do any videography. In South India, the temples are so old, they're extremely, extremely strict, because for hundreds and thousands of years it had been looted, and so many ancient idols were lost and stolen. So they are very, very strict in all these temples, most of these temples. You can shoot, you can take videos on the periphery, but not inside. So I respected that to the best extent possible, and wherever possible I took permission. So let us begin this at the Sri Dakshinamurti temple, because I felt it was divine grace that I was allowed to speak there and sit under the very holy banyan tree that was believed to have been in existence for hundreds and thousands of years. So let's see that. Let's see that video. This is Vishnu, Bhudevi, Sri Devi, Hanuman, Garuda. Let's try and understand what this was all about. What is Vishnu doing in a Shiva temple? Let's try and explore that as we sit under that beautiful banyan tree, which is a Salavriksha. Every temple has a tree that energizes the place. So the tree that is dedicated here is this banyan tree. Again, a very ancient tree, has been in place for many hundreds and thousands of years, I would think. Because like I said, I've seen this in other temples as well. The tree falls down, then they will grow another sapling, and that sapling comes up and becomes another beautiful tree. I consider it one of my greatest honor to be even sitting under this tree and speak a few words. So allow me to share the wisdom from under this tree, where Dakshinamurti originally would have sat and taught. A great way to begin the Kaivalya meditation series, Kaivalya Marga, is to begin in a place like this where the cosmic teacher, Dakshinamurti himself, taught from this place. And we will sit under that banyan tree in a little bit and see if we can, I hope this mic is picking up the audio. These are all not scripted or planned too much. I want it to be like that. I want the learning to be spontaneous. I want the learning to be natural and real. Kaivalya meditation is not simply techniques of how to sit, how to breathe, and what mantras to chant. While in English we say Kaivalya meditation, meditation is an English word, the Sanskrit word that comes to my mind, or the term that comes to my mind, is Kaivalya Marga. It's a marga, it's a path, it's a journey into seeking who you are, a journey into self-realization, if you will. And if the self is infinite, the journey never ends. So the path, it's an eternal path. And in being in the path is destination by itself. Being in the path is the most important thing. Because you are going nowhere. And that going nowhere becomes now here. Nowhere becomes now here. We become more mindful of every moment. And in that moment, we escape into eternity. I know these things sound abstract, but this is what we're going to explore as we go along in these lessons of Kaivalya Marga, the path to Kaivalya. Kaivalya is aloneness, oneness, that there is one consciousness that embraces all of you. I think there is disturbance here, so I will see if I can choose a quieter spot if I can and explore this a little more. There are so many monkeys around. I'm trying to protect my little wallet, if you will. Anyway, so the journey, as I was saying, Kaivalya. That's a little monkey. The monkey was very curious about what is this in this bag that I have. He doesn't realize it just has some cash and my cell phone. So let's see if Dakshinamurti allows us to learn here. But that's what I love doing it with. These monkeys that are all over the place is much calmer than I think the thoughts that go inside. So the monkeys inside are far more violent and far more noisier than the monkeys here. Anyway, so Kaivalya Marga, the prerequisite, if you will, for learning this meditation are three things. I earnestly ask you to consider them. One is patience. Tremendous patience is needed in these days of
fast life and wanting something like yesterday, if you will, with Amazon doing one-day delivery now and trying to deliver in drones, we are used to accomplishing something or wanting something, and the satisfaction between desire and completion of that desire is instantaneous nowadays, right? But in spirituality, it doesn't work like that, because we are dealing with matters of the spirit, and therefore those things have to be like the tree. We have accomplished a lot in modern science and technology, but we haven't really been able to make a tree grow very fast. So it takes time for the tree to grow. It takes time for nature. We haven't conquered nature. We have just mastered some little bit of technology. So the point here is, when we are talking of expansion of consciousness and understanding what is the spirit all about, then we are really, one of the most important prerequisites is patience, learning to slow down and allowing the learning to sink into our very being, if you will. So the way the Vedic teaching is done is, they talk of first you listen, Shravana, listen, unconditionally listen, without any preconditions. So you don't make up your mind, simply open your mind and say, all right, let's listen to what this guy has to teach, or what the scripture has to teach, or what this idea is all about. And then after listening, then you contemplate. Shravana, then comes Manana. Manana is you contemplate and see, does it make sense to me? Where am I? What is my understanding of this? And every person's understanding, every level of understanding is correct, because they're all different elements of truth. Like I said, this journey is never ending. So every moment a path opens, every time you get a different perspective, there is a different learning, and everyone is right in their perspective and in their faith, in their belief in what they see and what they experience. If you feel the senses is all there is, then that is true for you. If you have experienced something from the spirit, and if you feel there is more to it than senses, that is also true. And so the learning goes on, the perspective keeps opening. That is manana, contemplation. And then nididhyasana, the third aspect, is applying that. So once I have listened, once I am able to contemplate on it and I understand a little bit, then the third and the most important thing is applying that into my everyday life. If I don't apply that, then I am purely a scholar. Not that there's anything wrong in being a scholar, but scholars are those in this particular context to operationally define, if you will, what scholarship is you just know theoretically everything. You don't apply them, so you end up still being upset about the same old little things, and you never experience equanimity, you never experience that expansion of consciousness. You know about all of this in theory, and that happens because after knowing, we miss the application part. That is the most important part. So patience leads to perseverance, practice with perseverance. Nairantarya Satkala. Let me see how Patanjali describes that. Is amazing. He says it takes time. You practice with enthusiasm. You practice with strong will, determination, and you will be able to achieve your goal. Satkara sevito dhrida bhumi. So we have to practice this with enthusiasm. We have to practice with perseverance. Sai Baba, my Sadguru, would say, Shraddha and Saburi from Shirdi Sai. Shraddha is faith, because now once I have contemplated on it, I build a core belief system. I like it, I believe it because of my experience. And then comes Saburi, practicing it, perseverant, consistent practice. So patience is one quality I earnestly ask you to cultivate when you're in this path to Kaivalya. And that's how it's going to be. Don't expect 2-minute videos and 5-minute techniques. I don't have time, give me a 5-minute technique. I don't have that. This is not one of those things, because spirituality is not a matter of convenience. We have made spirituality a matter of choice, a matter of convenience. Oh, I don't have time now. I'll come back to it later in life, or I'll do it over the weekend when I get a chance. If that is how you give the importance to spirituality, then the benefit will also be to that extent. But if you think everything about my life will revolve around spiritual core values, about oneness, about expansion of consciousness. To me, that is most important. I want to experience that. That's why I'm born, and before I die, I want to experience that. If I have that and I revolve my life around it, then things begin to happen. So patience, perseverance, and the last thing I want you to consider is an attitude of prayer. By prayer, I mean piousness, a sense of reverence, humility. To me, that helps me open my mind unconditionally, and I'm able to learn more. I'm able to absorb more. Those are some monkeys, I think, just banging things away. Prayer attitude brings piety, piousness. It brings a sense of reverence, a sense of humility, that no matter how much I know, there is so much more to know. It keeps us humble, keeps us always wanting to learn. And so I could learn from a child, I could learn from a commoner on the street. I keep my eyes and ears open, constantly listening to where the universe is teaching me. How is it teaching me? What is it trying to teach me? And that comes when I have this attitude of prayer and reverence. These three qualities have helped me so far, and continue to help me. And therefore I share them with you. Today, in this holy place, I want to share with you one important lesson of the AUM, because Kaivalya is all about what is all this about? Oneness and experience and going beyond and all that. All of that can be understood in one simple concept, the concept of AUM. I thought, what greater place than the very holy temple of Dakshinamurti, the cosmic teacher. He taught in silence, so it's very clear. I'm the one speaking, so it's the dumb and the foolish that speak the most. Empty vessels make the most sound. So you have to bear with me. But I love sharing a very beautiful concept of the AUM that will give you a gist of what's the scope of this study. How long will it take for us to understand, and how deep we can go into practices. Where does asanas and bandhas and mudras, techniques of breathing, left nostril, right nostril, what's happening inside our body, how is it tuned with the cosmic powers outside, and why do we do all this? Where is it going to take us? If there is a roadmap, if you will, all that is explained in this beautiful symbol of the AUM. So let's go to another quieter place, perhaps under the Banyan Tree, where Dakshinamurti originally taught, and explore that.
Thank you for your patience. I put on the wrong video initially, so that's why I switched to this. That's what happens when Maya is not there behind the scenes. So guys, there's always a woman behind all neatness and all organizations. Anyway, so that was the beauty of being in the temple, and sharing was completely divinely inspired. I felt so guided to do that. And so in the next clip, and with that we will bring this class to an end, I'll just summarize what we learned. That's about an 18-minute clip because we talk about the AUM. But before we go there, I just want to visit these three things that I earnestly plead those of us who are in this path, because I was a very, very, very impatient young man in Puttaparthi. I wanted answers right there. I wanted it clear. I wanted it black and white. And there was no Google, and there was no research, and there was no such thing that I could let I channel my energy there. I just wanted answers, and there wasn't. Baba was of course there, but he would take his own time to answer, right? You can't just hold Baba's hands or feet and say, come on, tell me this answer. You could write to him, you could politely put it across and then wait for the answer. So I learned patience the hard way. But looking back, I am so grateful that he allowed me to contemplate on what was being learned at that point, bring it into practice, assimilate that learning, and then when it was ready, he presented you with the next lesson. So the beauty of that learning is priceless, and it comes when one has patience. What happens is when we have 100 videos to watch, for example, and you just watch one after the other, you are able to listen, but the ability to comprehend and retention becomes very low. The ability to retain what you have learned, the ability to assimilate what you have learned. There's no time to do that. So then it becomes a matter of pure curiosity. What else? Okay, what else? What did this guy say? What did that boy say? What did that book say? What are your opinions? So it just becomes more of a curiosity. Is that a real learning? Is that something that's eating you at night? Those are the questions that you need to seek answers. And so that is how the spiritual path unfolded itself to me. And Baba taught me the greatest lesson of perseverance. Continuous, regular, disciplined practice. Your lifestyle becomes a one complete journey of persevering towards this grand vision of self-actualization, self-realization, God realization, whatever you want to call it. So, and then I walked around the temple, went to this tree, this beautiful tree, sat down there. I was inspired to share some thoughts, especially of the AUM. It is really, I felt it from my heart that in that moment there was considerably less silence or less noise, and I was able to share it without kids running and trying to watch what am I doing with this tiny little camera and all of that. But it was a divine experience. It's a very, very beautiful, quaint temple, Sri Dakshinamurti. So once again, offering my salutations at his feet, let us watch this particular video which talks about the AUM. Before that, I saw a beautiful statues, beautiful set of statues. All these are granite statues of Vishnu and his two wives, Bhudevi and Sri Devi, and then Hanuman and Garuda and all of that in a Shiva temple. It's not uncommon, but it's not very common either. A beautiful shrine there. And then I shared some thoughts on that as well. So let's take a listen.
This is Vishnu, Bhudevi, Sri Devi, Hanuman, Garuda. Let's try and understand what this was all about. What is Vishnu doing in a Shiva temple? Let's try and explore that as we sit under that beautiful banyan tree, which is a Salavriksha. Every temple has a tree that energizes the place. So the tree that is dedicated here is this banyan tree. Again, a very ancient tree, has been in place for many hundreds and thousands of years, I would think. Because like I said, I've seen this in other temples as well. The tree falls down, then they will grow another sapling, and that sapling comes up and becomes another beautiful tree. I consider it one of my greatest honor to be even sitting under this tree and speak a few words. So allow me to share the wisdom from under this tree, where Dakshinamurti originally would have sat and taught. What a great honor and a privilege. So here we are under this banyan tree, the sacred banyan tree that energizes this temple and the very concept of cosmic teachings of Sri Dakshinamurti. Banyan tree is symbolic of the one consciousness becoming many, because every branch has roots, and the roots come down and has a potential to become another tree. So there are banyan trees which are hundreds of years old. So there's a whole, they spread into 5, 10, one tree can be 5, 10, 15, 20 acres wide, because every branch has a potential to become a full-fledged tree. That is the symbolism of the banyan tree. So Dakshinamurti sits under the banyan tree and shares the divine wisdom pertaining to the 4 Vedas. In this particular temple, and it's related to the Kaivalya Marga that we talk about, and understanding the symbolism behind Shiva and Vishnu. In this sacred temple, it is believed that Vishnu came here and learnt the Vedas from the Shiva, from the Shiva energy, from Dakshinamurti, who's the cosmic teacher. Now, if you look at it on the surface, you'll be like, oh my gosh, why did Vishnu come and have to learn from Shiva? Is Vishnu therefore inferior, and therefore is Shiva superior, that he had to sit and teach Vishnu? That's where the masses miss the symbolism. Someday, very soon, we're going to study the basis of Sankhya, where there are 3 gunas in this entire creation can be understood in 3 qualities: sattva, rajas, and tamas. And I'm not going to go into that. But these energies of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva symbolize these 3 gunas powerfully. Rajas, the one of activity, is what Vishnu represents. Vishnu is the one who speaks, the cosmic energy. That's why I associate Vishnu with enlightened lifestyle, enlightened living. Shiva is that energy which is beyond all of this. Like I said earlier in some other video, if I remember, these are some of my favorite thoughts. He doesn't teach you how to pay bills. He's not going to teach you how to bring up your child, or what kind of ethics you can follow in your life, and what to do as a warrior or as a businessman or as a priest. He's not going to teach you. Shiva doesn't. Shiva is the eternal consciousness where everything merges. In the Shiva consciousness, there is nothing to speak. Who am I going to speak to? You are the one. And therefore Dakshinamurti sits in silence. He has the Vedic books in one hand, Chinmudra in the other hand, because this signifies the eternal wisdom that he holds in his one hand and he's blessing you. Vishnu, on the other hand, teaches us enlightened lifestyle, and therefore this is the place where the cosmic teachings, the unknown wisdom, found a voice through Vishnu. Vishnu grasps that and teaches it. And so Vishnu energy is that which helps us understand these things. That is why the Bhagavad Gita is associated with Krishna, the incarnation of Vishnu. Shiva is quiet. Shiva is constantly in meditation. So from Vishnu we learn, we debate, we analyze, we read, we question. All that is Vishnu energy, Arjuna and Krishna. And then you go into silence. That is why Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana is again 3 symbolic aspects of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Shravana, listening, where creative energy simply takes birth. You listen, allow your mind to open up. And then Manana is where you debate within yourself, you question within yourself, you try and analyze within yourself. Contemplation. And then comes into practice, Nididhyasana, when it becomes inherent, very aspect of your being. You go deep into meditation and allows your thought and your word and your actions to automatically reflect these basic teachings. So this is the powerful elements here. So in this temple was where this cosmic consciousness of Dakshinamurti came through Vishnu. That is my way of understanding it. I find peace with it. I'm sharing it with you all. The Om is a very powerful symbol of everything that we are going to understand in Kaivalya Marga. The Om is drawn. Let's see how we can do this. We can perhaps explore it in a place like this. Let me take you near a sand, draw the Om and explain that, and that will give us some homework to do at the end of this class. So let's draw the Om. Om is drawn like this. I'm not a very good artist, so let me see if I'm able to get the beauty of this. Om. Let's try that one more time. Let's see. Okay, so let's see how the Om is done. Om is like this. Then there is a bigger one, the base. In middle there is a tail that goes from the Om. And then unconnected is the crescent, and then there is a dot which is called the Bindu. This is the Om. What and how does this symbolize the Kaivalya path? So you have 1, you have 2, then you have the third one here, you have 4, and you have the 5th, the dot. So these are the 5 states of consciousness, if you will, that we understand through Om. The bottom one, that is big, is the awakened state, the of Om. Exactly opposite to that is the deep sleep state, the of Om. And In between these two states, you have the tail, that is the dream state, the U of Om, you. So you awaken, awaken, dream state, deep sleep state. Look at the body language of the Om. The base is big. So most of us define our reality and try to define a reality in the awakened state. Reality is way out here, right? That is not connected to this. What is connected here? That these 3 states are connected. Here you see the body language here. You have the deep sleep connected to the awakened state, and then in connection you have a tail that comes out, which is the dream state. So whether you're awake, fast asleep, or you're dreaming, most of us spend our entire life, we try to define reality and our understanding based on these 3 states of consciousness. This is our everyday experience. You are either awake here, or you're fast asleep, or you're dreaming. But the Om is not just these 3. What does the Om say? Om as a crescent here, which is disconnected to all these. The crescent represents the 4th state of consciousness, which we call meditation. So Kaivalya meditation is not trying to understand something. This is Shravana. You listen here. You listen, you contemplate, you implement, all that happens here. But the experience of meditation happens in the 4th state. So in Sanskrit, you have the Jagrat Avastha, the awakened state. You have the Swapna Avastha, the dream state. It's got a flowery thing, see, dreams. And then you have the deep sleep, the smaller part. Sushupti, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. The 4th state, not connected from these 3, is the Turiya Avastha, superconscious state. Not subconscious, superconscious state. And that is what we are going to explore in meditation. That is what we want to understand. This 4th state is what we want to understand in meditation. Is that all? There is a dot. So Siddha Siddhanta, the teachings of Gorakshanatha, one of the most powerful yogis, talks about the 5th state of consciousness. This is where you become one with Shiva. Turiya Atita, the state that is beyond Turiya. There is no name for that. That is why they say Turiya Atita Avastha. The state that is beyond the Turiya. This has a name, but beyond this, in this spot, here, there is no name. There you become one. It is this one consciousness that has become all of this. Turiya Avastha is an experience. This is a state of being, where the experiencer, the experience, and all of that merges into one. So Kaivalya Marga, all the learning of asanas, bandhas, techniques of breathing and sitting, and all the 5 elements that we understand, all of that pertains to the awakened state. Some of that pertain to the dream state, and a little of that pertains to the deep sleep state. But we have to transcend all of that to come to Turiya Avastha. How does somebody go from here to here? See, this is connected. I can take a motor car, I can drive down here, I can take a break into dream world, I can reverse back, and I can come back to awakened state. So all of this is connected. The road is connected here. This is not connected. If I put this on Google Map, there is going to be no trail connecting this. So Shankara says, the teachers of yoga say, from here to here, the mind gets transformed. You have to transcend the mind. You have to transcend the senses. Senses cannot take you here. They give you this experience. The mind gives you this experience. But there is a potential in the mind, an energy in the mind, which we call the Indra, energy of Indra. And we'll explore that in the next lesson. The energy of Indra that will help the mind, the caterpillar, to transform itself into a butterfly so it can fly to this place. This is what Kaivalya Marga is all about. How do we get to this place? And then finally, how do we sit here and allow the entire universe to merge into our consciousness, where there is only one. There is only one, ultimately. Kaivalya. There is only one that has become the many. So, with this stick, I taught the Om. I shared the lessons of Om with you, and it was surely by the grace of Dakshinamurti that this happened. This is what it is all about. Kaivalya is understanding the three states of consciousness, becoming mindful of these three states of consciousness, and then in meditation, slipping into the fourth state. For homework, therefore, from this class, I would ask you to practice the Oms. Om as it is spelled is, if you want to spell Om in English, it would be AUM. A representing awakened state, U representing dream state, representing deep sleep. Then what represents the fourth state? The gap between two Oms, the silence between the two Oms, the gap between two thoughts. That is the fourth state, Turiya Avastha. Fifth is not even a state. Once you become the fifth, the Bindu, then there's no coming back. That is when, as Patanjali says in Yoga Sutra, Tada drishtu swarupe avasthanam, the seer draws back into himself, becomes Kaivalya. So, practice the Om. When I take a deep breath and I go, I become mindful of the awakened state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. Then when I inhale for the next one, I experience the Turiya, the gap between. Focus on the silence as you inhale. And then again, become awake. Now I'm purposely saying Om. When you do the Om, you don't have to do Om. No, just go with Om. There's a poetry in that. Okay, when we spell it, we know that Om has Akara, Ukara, Makara, A, U and Ma. But when you say it, don't spell it out like that. It kind of removes the poetry. The O has A, U and Ma. Okay? So, a deep breath in and you go Om, becoming fully aware of these are the three states that define my reality. And then when I inhale gently, when I inhale the So, we'll come to that mantra in the course of these classes. The inhalation has a powerful sound, Sa, So comes in. So that means the cosmic consciousness is entering me. The caterpillar is becoming the butterfly. And in moments like these, you will experience awakening. Because from Turiya Avastha, from the crescent of the Om, you begin to witness all the three states. The early morning prayer, the prayer of awakening that Adi Shankara wrote. Incidentally, Adi Shankara visited this very temple. He is worshipped at this temple. He has sung at this temple. It's such a holy place. And so when he wrote, he said, Pratas marami kriti samspuradatma tattvam. Upon awakening, I begin to experience brilliance. Satchit sukam paramahamsa gatim turiyam. And then the mind becomes paramahamsa and goes to the turiyavastha. So the mind transforms itself into a swan. In other words, the caterpillar becomes the butterfly. So, thank you so much for watching. Do your homework. Chant the Oms. Meditate on the gaps between the two Oms. This is something that will go on for weeks and months. Every time I chant the Om, there is so much to learn. There's so much of absorption that happens. And then you breathe in and again chant the Om. Never mind how long you should do, or just immerse yourself in the sound. Focus on the energy of the Om. Remember, these are the states of consciousness that it is. Allow the Om to take you from the awakened state to the Turiyavastha. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your patience. So much more to share. Namaste.
That day was very divine, very guided. We will revisit the concepts I spoke in that video about Turiya. We'll learn the spelling and we'll write it down. I have a whiteboard. I've just about learned how to switch to that. So you're going to see it fairly clearly. So we will learn about that. Review what we heard today in this class, understand this concept, and then try and slowly bring it into our practice every day. May the universe continue to guide us, continue to hold our hand, and take us to the very source, our higher self. Let me bring this class to an end with one Om and three Shantis. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Have a blessed day. See you tomorrow.